In this episode, I'm going to share why I believe it's important to share business financials with your team. And I'll share some practical tips on what and how to share it. Are you ready to set your team apart from others? Let's get into it.
Welcome to Why Business Teams Fail and How to Avoid It, a show helping small business owners build a radically engaged team that can run the business without you, so you can remove the stress from owning a business and enjoy the freedom you deserve. Now, here's your host, Rich Allen.
Today you'll learn that your hesitancy to share financial information with your team may be hurting, not helping. That most team members want to know how the business is doing financially, and they want to know how they can help make it even better. And that sharing your business financials will result in a more dedicated, highly engaged work team if done well. Here's my question for you this week. How much financial information do you currently share with your team, and should you share more? This is one of the most often asked questions I get from business owners who start working with me to help them grow their business. The statement in question I typically get sounds something like this: we don't share our financial results with our team, and I'm not sure I'm comfortable sharing our financials with them. Is this something you really think we should do? In fact, I was meeting with a new client just last week. In our very first strategy meeting, this topic came up. The discussion quickly went to a list of reasons why the owner didn't share company financials with his team, and he had a pretty long list. In fact, the list was long enough to include, I don't share my personal finances with my kids either, because they wouldn't understand it and it might scare them a bit. I bring this up because I recently had an opportunity to take a 4-day road trip with my now grown son, and rather than turn on the radio or listen to an audiobook or podcast, we decided just to talk. So we talked for 4 full days while driving from Texas to Colorado and back. I'm not sure about you, but I've never had that much concentrated time dedicated to simply talking, listening, and sharing. I was amazed at the questions my son asked me. Questions about many things I never felt he was interested in or cared about. One of the biggest topics was about our personal finances and how we managed to save money while sending him and his sister to private colleges. It made me realize that he wanted to learn from me. He wanted to gain some insights that I had never shared with him. He wanted to test and model what he was doing against what we had done. My overwhelming thought was that I wish I had had this deep, intensive discussion with him many years earlier. And I feel the same way with discussing business financials with my team members. I recall when I first assumed the leadership role for a new business we acquired, a business that had over 200 employees and was consistently losing money. My first thought was to share the reality of our situation with everyone on our team, but many of my peers cautioned me about being open and candid. They were fearful that many would get scared and quit to find a more secure position. They also told me that once I shared our financial numbers, they were sure to be known by our competitors, and that would only make things worse. But my experience was very different from the fears and worries my peers shared with me. I found that our team members had no clue that we were losing money, and when they realized that we were, they doubled their efforts to help us dig out of the hole we were in. We began to meet with our entire team every month, shared with them our key financial results, started to show them graphs that showed our trends and our progress, and introduced a profit-sharing program that gave them a financial incentive if we could achieve our financial goals. I'll skip all the details, but I'll share that over the following 7 years, we transformed a $30 million annual revenue, zero-profit business into an over $100 million annual revenue business that was highly profitable. And we could have never accomplished it without our employees knowing and being actively engaged in improving our financial results along the way. I could share story after story with you about clients who have experienced a similar transformation, and none of them happened with the team members being out of the loop or in the dark regarding their company financials. And I'm very confident that you could experience the same thing if you willingly and actively involve your entire team in the financial results of your business. The big question may be, what should you share and how should you share it? Let me share with you 4 things you should share, along with some advice on how you should share these 4 things. First, let's start with your top-line revenues. Most business owners measure their success by how much their top-line revenues are growing. If this is you, you probably have set top-line revenue goals for this year. I'd recommend you share this critical goal with your team, along with the history of where your business has been in the past. This is best done by using a graph which shows history along with your future goals and projections. In some cases, you may want to translate your top-line revenues into units or client engagements. For example, rather than simply sharing that we're at $30 million in annual revenues with a goal to grow to $40 million the next year, we translated these numbers into how many units we produced last year and how many we plan to produce this year. By taking this very big financial number and turning it into how many units needed to be produced each month and each week and each day, our team members could grasp the magnitude of the challenge and relate it to what they were familiar with. I strongly suggest you convert your top-line revenues into some activity metric that your team can understand and relate to. Secondly, I would suggest you share with your team your cost of goods sold and your gross margins. These financial metrics reflect how much it costs to deliver the product or service you provide to your customers. Rather than simply lump all business costs into one bucket, it's important to separate and highlight the specific costs required to create and deliver your products to your customers. These are called your cost of goods sold. We all have them. You have them, and I have them. And when you reduce your top-line revenues by your cost of goods sold, you get what's called your gross margin. This can and should be shared as both a number and a percentage. The idea is for everyone to understand that the more effectively and efficiently we can produce our product or deliver our services, the more gross margin we will create. I expect that you have a target for your gross margin percentage. It's important to track and share this. If you're a service business, your gross margin percentage target may be near 60%. If you're a product business, your gross margin percentage target may be more like 40 or 45%. It's important that you know it, share it, and update your team on how well they're performing each month so you don't find yourself doing a lot of work but not making a lot of gross margin. Thirdly, I'd suggest you share your operating expenses with your team. Your operating expenses are those expenses that you have whether or not you sell or deliver a single product or service to a customer. These include rent, subscriptions, overhead wages, benefits costs, insurance, office expenses, legal fees, and many more. Most team members have no clue what it takes to simply open the doors of your business every day, but they need to know it. Ideally, you would share not only the absolute operating costs, but the desired or goal reductions you have for the year. Your goals may not be to reduce your total operating expense level, but it may be to reduce your operating expenses as a percentage of your top-line revenues. This is a huge opportunity for most businesses, and getting your team members to both understand what your operating expenses are and to help you be more efficient on how you spend your operating expenses is a huge deal. Just like we're seeing with the new governmental DOGE, Department of Governmental Efficiency, There are often many hidden costs in your business that only your team members can help you uncover and eliminate. Let them help you with this daunting task. And fourthly, I would suggest you share your net income from operations. These are the net results of your top-line revenues minus your cost of goods sold minus your operating expenses. Essentially, this is the why you do the hard work of owning a business, to make more and more net income. But rather than hide your net income from your team, I'd suggest you share it with them. The first kind of sharing is to educate them on what you make and how you make it. The second kind of sharing is to let them know if they can help you grow your net income, you'll share a portion of the net income dollars with them as a profit share. I can assure you, if you can bring yourself to share in these ways with your team, they will return you much higher profits. If you're not already sharing profits with your team through a profit-sharing program of some kind, I'd recommend you take some time to listen to a podcast episode I did a couple of years ago called Sharing Profits. It may encourage you to involve your team as if they were owners with you in the business. A powerful motivator and game-changing reward strategy. As we wrap up today's podcast, let me leave you with these simple thoughts. Number one, don't underestimate the interest level your team members have regarding the financials of your business. Number two, educating your team members on how your business truly works financially will result in more engagement, not less. And number three, treating your team members as owners of the business through a profit-sharing program is a powerful way to generate interest, enthusiasm, and ownership across the board. If you'd like some additional support in this area or want to tap into our free resources, simply go to my website, tourtoprofit.com. You'll find everything you need there. Thanks for joining me today. Be sure to tune in next week when we're going to discuss articulating what sets your business apart from your competition. You won't want to miss it. Now, go make it a great week, and whatever you do, ride hard.
Thank you for listening to Why Business Teams Fail and How to Avoid It. Make sure to like, subscribe, and tell your friends so you don't ever miss an episode. Now go make it a great week, and whatever you do, ride hard.